This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Please be aware I am not a medical expert, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. Hey everyone! Welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I'm Ashley. This podcast is based off of my blog of the same name, Eat, Explore, Love. It talks about the unique challenges in traveling around the world when you have celiac disease. Due to sort of popular demand, I decided to also record a podcast to delve a little deeper into my travels and the lessons learned along the way. This week, I'm so lucky to be able to speak with Shelley, the author of What's on Your Fork. You could join Shelley's online community at shelleycanhelp.com or on any social media platform. We had a really great discussion talking about gluten-free cooking, how it helps in multiple ways, not just when you have celiac, and getting your mentality right when coming to putting together meals for yourself. Can't wait to see what you think. Go ahead and take a listen. Hi, Shelley. It's so lovely to meet you, and welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me. I think this is going to be a great conversation, especially for not only just you and I, but also your awesome audience.
Yes. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you because I don't believe you have celiac, but you have a lot of experience with finding gluten-free meals, and I think it'd be good, starting off point as we enter our in celiac awareness month of inspiring people because I feel like eating gluten-free, you tend to get into your 3 meals that you know that you could have that are okay, and then you forget that there's other options out there. But would you mind bringing us on your journey and learning a little bit more about who you are and how we came to this conversation today?
Absolutely. So I'm a published author of a best-selling cookbook that is actually gluten and dairy free. I do not have celiac. I do have a gluten sensitivity. That's not what started my journey, though. What started my journey was my husband had a massive heart attack 10 years ago, and when that happened, I wanted to change what we were eating. You know, everybody wants to change what they're eating when you have this cardiovascular disease. And I didn't know what I was doing. We weren't the worst eaters. My husband wasn't overweight. I wasn't really overweight. I mean, we could have probably lost 10 pounds, but weight wasn't a problem for us. Being unhealthy wasn't a problem for us, so we thought. And so we turned to food to just I said, let's cook, let me cook better. I don't know what that means. And so I went down this rabbit hole of nutrition, ended up going to a couple of nutrition schools. And as I was learning the things, I really focused on chronic inflammation and foods. There are foods that cause chronic inflammation. And one of those is gluten. So, and the other one, there's a few, but gluten is a big one. And so I am eliminated gluten from our diet for a while just to kind of test run it. And wow, I can't believe how much better I felt. And, you know, some of the weight came off, maybe 10 pounds, just because I wasn't eating all of the white things that my taste buds loved. And I just decided to start teaching people how to eat an anti-inflammatory diet. And that included eliminating gluten. So I love showing people that it's not difficult. You know, gluten's only 3 things. People think it's a lot more than it actually is. So I love teaching people that. And so, yeah, that's kind of my journey on. I focus on anti-inflammatory foods. And so there's just some food groups I don't cook with and I don't teach people. I teach people to avoid them as much as they can as well.
So what caused you to want to go to nutritional school? Because there's a lot of people that will just go and visit, like myself, that just went to go and see a nutritionist and did some Googling of what is gluten, and that's for you're absolutely right. People don't actually know what gluten is, and it's wheat, barley, and rye. What made you want to do that extra step and actually become an expert in navigating nutrition?
I love that question. I've always been a holistic girl, I think, at the core of who I am. And when they told my husband he was going to be on 6 prescription drugs and an aspirin for the rest of his life, both of us were like, at 41 years old, by the way, both of us were like, no, no, that's not the way it's going to happen. So I didn't want someone else to just tell me what to do. I wanted to take the reins on our health, and I wanted he and I to navigate it together and learn together. And I don't know how to say it other than I wanted to hold the power. I wanted to really dive in a holistic way. Not that I don't trust just a nutritionist or a dietitian, but I didn't want so much science behind it. I wanted a more non Western approach, and I just wanted to learn nutrition at its core from a holistic perspective. So that's why I decided, I mean, if I'm going to do this thing, and my husband's health is super important to me. I mean, we're a team, and he's my best friend, and I kind of want him around. I wanted to learn. And I just ran into so much contradictory information on Google. You know, one site, and you don't know what the propaganda is or what their agenda is or who's sponsoring it and where Google's taking you. And so I wanted to attend school to learn the things for myself.
I think it's also of no two people are the same because I'm pretty dark on social media for the most part, except for Facebook, just because with living abroad, it's nice to be able to keep in touch with certain people that way. But with these celiac support groups, no two people have the same experience. And it's interesting how one person wants to be like, no, this is the end all be all. And it's like, no, 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 that's not how this works. And there has to be a willing to experiment. So I guess that brings us to you writing your book. How long were you experimenting with your nutrition, your knowledge, your own personal experience, your husband's personal experience, and how did that bring you into writing a book?
Yeah, so when I started going down this rabbit hole of learning the things, what I would do is I would learn a lesson and then I would apply it in our kitchen. I would learn a lesson and apply it, and so I did this over the course of 2 or 3 years. So my first nutrition school was IIN, and that's kind of like a whole health approach,
Mhm.
spiritually, mentally, physically, all the things, relationally. And then I went to another nutrition school that was just nutrition. So the Academy of Culinary Nutrition, where it kind of marries cooking and nutrition together. It kind of shows you the how. So when that happened, after those two things, which is the course of about 3 years, I really started experimenting, practicing. But here's where the magic lies. I was watching him heal, and I was watching me never feel better. Like I've never felt better in my life. And I thought, okay, if his blood work is coming back better and his EKGs are clearing up and he is physically reversing the damage to his heart, and I don't have bloating and gas, I don't have joint pain, I don't have dull headaches, I don't have brain fog, like there's something to this. Like I
Mm.
need to teach this to more people. So I decided to start a business. And when I did that, I thought, I really want to create a cookbook. It was a pipe dream because people love food, and food is a love language. And I wanted to share my knowledge with them through that love language of food. So over the course of about 3 years, I was just slowly writing recipes down and ingredients down in a spiral notebook. And I just kept getting that nudge on my shoulder, the tap on my shoulder saying, Shelley, put the book out there. So 4 years into my business, I hired a book mentor because I didn't know what I was doing. I've never published a book before. And I made it happen within about 10 months or so. It was
Wow.
the hardest thing I've ever done. But I really wanted my whole book is centered around an anti inflammatory diet. So it is free of gluten, it is free of dairy, it is free of white refined sugar, and it's free of refined cooking oils. But I wanted to put my heart and soul into it and show people that it's absolutely still delicious, and your options without those inflammatory foods are limitless as well.
So we should say the title of your book is What's on Your Fork, which they can get. I'm assuming, are they able to get it on Amazon? Are they able
Yes.
to get it at any bookstore? That's amazing. And we'll keep repeating that message throughout this
Thank
episode
you.
because that's what we're here to do. Um, for I love that you're doing things that are making sure that they're tasting delicious, which will perhaps hopefully release the stigma of eating gluten free. I have a birthday. I'm actually a week away from my birthday, and I'm a year away from a milestone birthday. I'm turning 30 in a year. So, yes, I want to have a big, huge shebang. I'm not getting married. I have no wedding. I want my big party that all my friends are getting to have. I want my own. But as I'm doing all these gatherings and I'm becoming an adult and having dinner parties and things like that, I'm starting to care less about people, because I grew up with a family that would say, "Oh, I don't even wanna try your food, it's gluten-free, ooh," and kind of staying away, and it made us feel really bad about having to be gluten-free, and so I'm lucky in that I have friends that are not that way and willing to try, and then there was one time I was hosting a bachelorette party and my mom said, "Oh, I would love to be able to help. I'll make cupcakes." I said, "Just make gluten-free cupcakes. That way there's no cross-contamination, no worries." I even hired a private chef to make sure that things were going to be gluten-free. So I guess I'm rambling on for too long, but I'm really excited to be able to use your book as a way of when I have big parties and I just want it to be 100% gluten free. That way I don't have to worry about it and not tell anybody because I'm sure no one will notice if you don't tell anybody. Point of the cupcake story, my mother also made regular cupcakes because she just insisted that no one else would like it. And then I got sick because cross contamination happened. So that was my last time where I was going to allow regular food at a party that I hosted. What are some go to easy recipes that you feel like are naturally gluten free, but that everybody can go to and really enjoy if they're at a gathering that doesn't have to be a big announcement that it's gluten free or not? That was a really long way to get to the question. I'm so sorry.
Hey, you're totally fine. I've learned over the last 5 or 6 years, we've been on this journey now for 10 years. And for probably the last 5 or 6, my family specifically, like yours, they've realized I'm not going to go back. And this is my way of life. And the jokes were fun in the beginning for them, and it's just their lack of knowledge and their insecurities with their own health journey. That's where that comes from, so I don't take it personal anymore.
Yeah.
I've learned to, when I'm in an environment like that, omission is best. So
Mhm.
I just don't tell people what I'm making unless they ask. And if I don't call it a gluten-free dip, it is
Yeah.
just a dip. I'm not
Mhm.
going to tell them that I'm not using dairy. I'm not going to tell them that I'm not using sugar. Like, they don't need to know that. Just try it. And if you love it, awesome. If you don't love it, great.
Yeah.
So
Then
omission,
don't eat
and
it.
don't eat it. It's real simple.
Yeah.
But that was my mission behind the book, was to, and my book is like meals. So it's not baking. Mine is like, dinner
That's I need
and
all this.
lunch.
Yeah.
I want to come out with another one. There's so many gluten-free bakers out there. I felt like there was a missing niche on everyday food. Like, we need to eat lunch, and we're not just eating cupcakes. We are eating real food. But so many
Mhm.
people don't realize how gluten is in a lot of things that they don't realize. Like, a perfect example is soy sauce. People
Mhm.
don't understand that soy is fermented in flour. That's how the beans ferment. And so it has gluten in it. So these people, that are eating soy sauce every day, they don't know they're eating gluten, and they don't know that it's ripping up their digestive tract.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to educate people by using, coconut aminos or tamari in my recipes, because it's introducing them to new ingredients that are also easy to find. I didn't
Yeah.
want my recipes to be, oh my goodness, I have to go to 4 grocery stores to be able to get the supplies. I didn't want it like that. So my mission was, the tagline on my book is easy, healthy meals for everybody. I wanted anybody to be able to make the recipes. So, in answer to your question, going back to what would I serve, I'm a big proponent of proteins, doing something that, because I'm not a vegan. Great if you are. I don't have anything against it. I just don't choose it personally. And so I love setting out proteins, a good bag of organic chicken wings, or I love to. Now, dips are probably my favorite because you can make anything taste good with a really good dip or a
Yeah.
spread. So those are limitless because we're not using wheat, barley, and rye to make a dip. So dips are really great. Proteins are really great. And then I'm okay with buying gluten-free products if they have good ingredients. Just
Mhm.
because it says gluten-free does not mean it is a healthy product. There are some very unhealthy gluten-free products out there. So I'm a big proponent of gluten-free crackers if you can find a good brand that don't use refined oils. That's my number one no-no. So it's not hard to entertain with gluten-free food. You just don't tell them what it is. Don't tell them. Don't label the recipe as a gluten-free X. Just make the
Mhm.
recipe and tell them it's delicious and have them try it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you what was your biggest learning from writing your book?
Mm. I would on a personal level or
Whatever
learning.
level, any
So
level.
this is not food related, but the first thing that comes to my mind is perseverance.
Mm,
Writing a book, whether it's a cookbook or a written book, which mine is kind of a combination of both. There's lots of stories in the book. There's places for journaling so people can write down what ingredients they added or took away. Um, there, I wanted it to be like a cookbook meets food journal, to where people could use it as a resource and write in it. And in every recipe, I tell them the source of healthy fat, protein, and fiber, because I think we should be getting those at every meal, all three of those. And so every recipe shows you the source. So if it has avocado oil in it, at the bottom it says healthy fat, avocado oil. So
mhm,
that was important to me. So what did I learn about the book was, number one, you really can do anything that you put your mind to. Perseverance, patience, and yeah, perseverance. That's the first word that comes to my mind with anything, whether you're going through a health struggle, whether you're writing a cookbook, whether you want to start a business, whether you want to run a marathon. Perseverance, like, don't give up. Just keep your eye on the prize and take one small step every day towards that goal. And that's kind of the approach that I have to my clients and my audience. And people, I have an online membership where people pay monthly and annually, and we cook together. I have over 100 anti-inflammatory recipes with videos in there, and in there I talk a lot about that. Take a step every single day, one step to create a new healthy habit, whether that's learning how to drink consistently water every day, or make a healthy meal, or learn about being gluten free, or whatever it is. Just take that small step. So, perseverance, definitely. Sorry, that was a long answer.
no, no, you had a lot of, like, ding, ding, dings in there for me of especially with perseverance and patience because you're right, it is applicable to any circumstance, and in the beginning of this discussion, you mentioned that you lost weight going on a gluten-free diet, it really helped and transformed things. I actually had the opposite experience, and I feel like this is something I was severely underweight prior to my diagnosis with celiac, and it even took maybe 10 years for my body to sort itself out because there was so much damage done. And then all of a sudden in 6 months I gained 20 pounds in a year. And it was that was a big adjustment. And I feel like I actually just spoke with someone the other day about the mentality around dieting. And I don't like to tell people that they should go on diets because it's usually it leads to a roller coaster and snowballing of body positivity issues that start to end up happening and all that other stuff. And I want people to know you don't need to diet. You are perfect as you are. But there is no other word for what we have to do. It is we are on a diet out of necessity. I would never choose to do this. I have to do it. But with all of that in mind, when you're talking with your clients, how do you navigate that part of it with them of balancing between it being a diet versus being a diet of necessity and walking them through all of that and making sure they have a positive mental approach? Because I know they taught that in school, you mentioned.
I tell people that your relationship with food is the longest relationship you'll ever have in your life. You can't break up. You can't quit. You can't divorce. You can't walk away. You eat from the day you're born until the day you die, whether that's through a bottle, through a feeding tube, or on your plate. So I try to encourage people to really nurture that relationship. And it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. So it's a lifestyle of in my teachings, it's a lifestyle of living an anti-inflammatory life, because inflammation is the root of most health conditions today. If we weren't chronically inflamed on the inside, we wouldn't have the diseases in our bodies and the chronic conditions that arise today that didn't arise 200 years ago. And a lot of that stems from, chronic inflammation comes from a lot of things, not just food. But the one thing that we really can control is what we eat, whether we choose to do that or not. So I tell people, nurture that relationship, fall in love with your relationship with food. And it's going to be ebbs and flows, ups and downs, failures and successes. But two words that I'd really discourage people using with their relationship with food is shame and guilt. So if
Mm.
someone eats 6 cupcakes on Saturday, tomorrow is a new day. It does no good to show yourself shame and guilt over making a bad food decision. Set apart from being having celiac, of course, you don't want to eat
Mm.
6 cupcakes, but that would not be good. So I just encourage people to. It is a relationship. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle. It's a relationship that you just want to you want to love it so it can love you back. When we're eating foods that are we know are not good for us and are not nurturing our bodies can't process them properly, and then our bodies break down over time.
Mm.
May happen in 5 years, may happen in 30. So if you're going to have this constant relationship and you can't break up and you can't quit, you might as well learn it, create it as change your mind and your mindset, and allow it to love you back, nurture it, love it, and don't consider it a diet, consider it a lifestyle.
So if people are coming to you and saying, "Listen, I heard this great thing about going on a gluten-free diet. It means that I'm going to lose weight," which I always tell people that's not always what happens.
No.
Depending upon your issues. Do you have to stop them right there and say that's not what we're here to do? We're here to get you healthy, not necessarily to get you on a weight loss journey?
Yeah, definitely. So people come to me for all different reasons. I'm very, my topic is anti inflammatory living. So that encompasses people that have chronic conditions, people that are overweight, people that have diabetes, people that are recovering from cancer, people whose husbands almost died, like me. So I am helping an array of different people. Most of them have a health condition.
Mm.
So I tell them, they understand that I am a no diet culture. So if you
Mhm.
choose to be gluten free, or if you want to eliminate it for a while to see if it's a culprit, that's fantastic, but it is not a gluten free diet. We are not
Mhm.
dieting. I want you to think it. So I help people shift their thought from dieting to nurturing their bodies and feeding it anti-inflammatory foods so that they have a strong, healthy immune system and a system
Mhm.
set up for healing. That's what I help people do. I help people set their bodies up for healing in whatever capacity they are, wherever they are. I want to meet them where they are and help them set this solid foundation of anti-inflammatory living, not dieting. Did I answer your question about the gluten? Okay.
Absolutely. So take me through your program. If someone is listening to this and they are intrigued, what would their process be once they become your client? Is it a 12-week program? Is it like a therapist of you do it for as long as possible whenever you need it? How what's the process of being your client?
So typically people follow me on social media first. I have a pretty big following, but my people are my people, and they're very passionate and very interactive and very supportive of me and my business and my teachings. And then what happens from there is they join my newsletter. I have a free weekly email that goes out, and it's just motivation around an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. And then what ends up happening is they take I usually do free master classes every other month or so. I do a free masterclass on a specific topic. Right now, like in May, I have one coming up about healthy habits, like how to really wipe the slate clean and really start fresh with some healthy habits in your life. Because it really is more about mindset than it is about what's on your plate. So I do that. And then once they see a masterclass, they're like, okay, I want more. And then they usually end up joining my membership. So that's where all of my people that want to keep learning from me join my, I mean, it's less than $25 a month. It's not expensive, but it's kind of like an online family. And they go in there and we support each other every day. Like every month we have a challenge, and this month is make a smoothie once a week. And so everybody's posting their smoothie pictures and encouraging them to what ingredients to use that are gluten free and no artificial sweeteners, because a lot of protein powders have artificial sweeteners. And so it's just a fun place for us to come together as a community all over the world and help each other along on this lifestyle journey of healthier eating. We're not eating healthy, there's no end goal. It is a lifestyle. So if you're going to be in this lifestyle and you want to keep going, it's a great place to feel supported in a community of like-minded people. So that's typically where people, and then I also teach online virtual classes to corporations worldwide. So, like for instance, today I'm teaching a class on chronic inflammation for Ameriprise Financial. Tonight, I am teaching a cooking class for Texas Capital Bank. So, they also hire me to do private events virtually and sometimes in person as well. So, those are kind of how people work with me. Did that?
Mhm.
And then my book, a
Yeah.
lot of people buy the book because that's kind of a good starting point, and it's easy, it's
Yeah.
tangible. You can go on Amazon, buy it, and then kind of get inspired with what ingredients is she using, and how do I kind of start. People want to start there, which is
Yeah.
fine, I love that, but they don't always understand the why behind things. So when they see the ingredients, so if they see tamari and they've never heard of it, they'll be like, okay, Shelley, what's going on? And they don't
Yeah.
realize that it's actually in Walmart, you can get it anywhere. But
Yeah.
I like to ease people into the actual cooking, because you need to know the why behind it before you're going to start creating those healthier recipes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny when you were talking about dips before, I all my dips are so full of dairy. So I need to find out what dips you're making so that way I can, because I'm not supposed to have dairy, but I have so many intolerances on top of the gluten allergy that I'm like, you know what? Life has got to be enjoyed. Somehow I can't give up my dairy.
And I'm all about, that's something else, Ashley, that I teach a lot. I'm all about the balance. So I try to
Mhm.
encourage people, if you don't have a allergy, it's all about the balance. So 80% of the time, really try to eat, good, real whole foods. The less processed, the better, anti-inflammatory when you can. And then 20%, save it for the guilty pleasures, save it for the parties, the birthdays, the traveling, all of, you are human. Have the glass of wine, eat the dip with dairy, but as long
Yeah.
as you don't have an allergy. It is about the balance. I do have a charcuterie board at my girlfriend's house every now and then. I do, because it's delicious. And I have learned, everyone, like you said earlier, I call it bio individuality. Everyone is different. Listen to your body. It will tell you what it wants if you truly listen. And the longer you do that, the better you get at it. I'll
Mhm.
be on vacation and I will not have had greens for like a day, day and a half, travel day. I typically don't eat very healthy. And I'll get there and my body's like, I seek out like a green smoothie, or I seek out, a good salad with a good protein, because my body tells me, hey, by the way, we need some fiber. You just get better at it. But I tell people balance, because don't beat yourself up if you eat dairy in your dip. Just, don't eat it every day. That's all.
So uh, my mother, she if she listens to this episode, she'll kill me for saying this, but she has the celiac markers. She's supposed to be eating gluten free, and
Yeah.
she's supposed to be, on the healthy eating diet. And she always says to me, "Well, I just don't have the time to eat gluten free."
Oh
And I
yeah.
say, "Ma'am, your dot." I'm one of four. Three out of the four of us have celiac. So I say, if we also have very busy lives, we're all doing our own thing. If we can make time to make sure we're at eating gluten free, you can. So the people that always, like my mother, who always have an excuse to not be on the lifestyles of eating that they're supposed to be on, what do you have recipes in your book that are like real good, quick put together stuff so that way that excuse off the table?
I do. In the back of the book, there's a section called mix and match. And so what it is, it's like a set of proteins. So there's like two or three chickens and two or three fishes and all the things. And then there's a whole section of veggies. So you can whip up the chicken on, a few days ahead, like make a whole pound of chicken breast or whatever. And then over here, go on Monday, go buy your veggies, and then just throw them two together. Like, you don't, it doesn't always have to be a big production for dinner. It just get a good protein, a lean protein, and some good veggies, and maybe, a carb like some brown rice or quinoa or something, and or gluten-free pasta. There's some really good gluten-free pastas out there, and enjoy your meal. It doesn't have to be this big ordeal. Last night, that's exactly what I did. I had thawed chicken breast. I sauteed them in a pan, threw them in the oven for 10 minutes, and I put broccoli and steamed it in the microwave. That was dinner. It wasn't fancy. And I had some healthy buffalo sauce from
Ooh,
Primal Kitchen as the brand. They have really good buffalo sauce, and we put it on the chicken. Boom, dinner. Like, it doesn't have to be an ordeal. Just,
yeah.
I don't like it when people talk out both sides of their mouth. So my parents probably won't hear this, and I don't care if they do. But my dad will gripe about his ailments here. He'll, on this side of his mouth, he'll gripe about, oh, my knee, oh, my cholesterol, oh, the things. And then over here, either eating Oreos or griping about how much time it takes to make a healthy meal.
Right.
You got to pick your gripe. You can't do both. Either you're okay with not feeling good and you're okay with not fixing it and taking responsibility for it, or you're okay with investing your time and your money into your health so you can no longer gripe about the things that aren't working for you. It's real simple. People just need to make the decision.
I also think people need to be able to look within themselves to see that they're
Oh,
even doing that, which
the games that we play with ourselves inside our
yeah.
heads, the chatter that we tell ourselves, and the excuses, and the the way we manipulate ourselves is really crazy. For example, somebody could be driving down the road and tell themselves, "Oh, I am so busy today, so I'm going to drive through Chick-fil-A," instead of, I should have prepared something, so I'm going to stop at, somewhere else and just get something a little healthier. Or next week, I'm going to prep some stuff so I'm not making Chick-fil-A a decision anymore.
Yeah, and if you need to have Chick-fil-A sometimes, that's okay.
Yeah,
It's just to your
no,
point, how do you take those moments and make sure you're
right.
learning from it and taking care of yourself?
Yep.
So, for a thing that, again, I'm one of 4, 3 out of the 4 of us have it. I was diagnosed at 15, and my sister was diagnosed at 10, 10 or 11. And for her, it was very difficult because there were not as many options 15 years ago as there are now. And it was pretty much, she was a little kid having to go with like chicken, roast chicken, and vegetables. And that was not her thing. It was not what she liked. And I don't blame her. What 11-year-old wants to be dealing with that nonsense? So, do you have guidance or advice for people that have maybe children that have to be on these healthier anti inflammatory diets, that they can go and not get bullied in the lunchroom when they're going and having their meals? That's what happened to her. I feel so bad.
Well, like you said, it's come so far. So,
Mhm.
so many children have so many allergies now, especially like peanut allergies, which, by the way, is not a peanut allergy, it's a mold allergy, but we won't get into that for another day. It's just, yeah, I just don't think the excuses are applicable in 2024, because these parents just, if you spend 15, 20 minutes on the internet, you can find real quick, it's not difficult to help your children on a gluten-free journey. There's so
Mhm.
many great products out there now, and companies that support gluten-free, like celiac, like Bob's Red Mill is a wonderful example. They have a separate factory for their gluten-free products so nothing cross contaminates. Like, it's a
Mhm.
thing now. So just, I encourage parents, just do your homework and make the meals without the gluten. It's just really not that hard anymore. And
Yeah.
I think if the less they put the label on it, the less the children will feel a stigma too. Don't make it feel like they're separate. Just shift some of the things that you make.
I also think that it's with it being, with celiac in particular, it's become a disability in the United States officially. So the school now has to work with you. And I think where my, not to speak on behalf of my sister, but I feel pretty confident in saying she doesn't like to may have the appearance of being a burden. She would care about other people feeling that she is a burden. Whereas I don't care. I'm like, this is what I need to not be sick for 6 hours. So just deal with like you. I need this is what I need from you. And she is a little bit more polite than I am, maybe per se, and maybe to the other extreme of it. And so what do you say? Do you have any advice that you give to clients that maybe are struggling with needing to set boundaries with people and saying, listen, this is not necessarily a choice for everybody. It's a health concern and a health issue. How do you help them navigate that and being able to set the boundaries and ask for what they need?
I am not an expert in helping people with their specific chronic conditions. So my audience is not celiac people. My audience is not
Right.
type 2 diabetes. So we don't talk about that a lot because ours is about just getting healthier and finding your own journey.
Mhm.
And the question I get asked the most, or the obstacle I hear a lot, is because my ideal clients are typically women 30 to 70. That's just who I draw naturally. And so what I hear from a lot of the women that are older is that their excuse is, well, my spouse won't eat it if I make it. Or my spouse is unhealthy and I'm worried about him. How do I get him healthy? So I
Mhm.
hear those two things a lot. So this is kind of applicable to what you were asking.
I also would need that advice because my grandfather absolutely should be on an anti-inflammatory diet and refuses to eat it. So, yes, what is that advice?
So I tell them, when they're living with them, and most of the time, this is the dynamic of a family. If you're a male and female and you're married, typically the female is doing most of the cooking, not always, but typically. And I tell the women that are in that situation, heterosexual relationship, female cooker, I tell them, lead by example. Lead by
Mhm.
example. If you like, that's kind of what I did. My husband was on board because he almost died, so he was ready to get better, but it
Yeah.
still took it still took a little bit of manipulation on try this because but what I did was I just made sure that I was practicing what I was preaching. So
Mhm.
every time we introduced a new food for him, I ate it too. And this was a journey that we did together. So I tell the women who their families are not on board, just keep doing you. Keep focusing on your goals. Eat the things that you think are wonderful. Focus on anti inflammatory. And I promise you, the people that are in your home are slowly going to get on board because you're being a leader and you're leading by example in a positive way. So
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily mean, no matter if it's celiac or just wanting to be healthier, you don't have to be ugly about it. Just
Right.
do you. Live for you and encourage yourself and let that energy be contagious for others. I don't think that it needs to be a draw the line in the sand. Here's where I stand. Just do you and let people figure that out naturally, as long as they're not feeding you, gluten if you have celiac.
What is your favorite recipe that you have in your book?
My chicken tortilla soup, for sure.
Is there a reason why, or is there certain recipes that I cook that I have an emotional attachment to?
Number one, soup is my favorite food on food group. I love it because it has all the nutrients you need. It feeds a ton. It's cheap,
Mhm.
usually inexpensive to make, and it just feeds your soul. There's something nurturing and nourishing about soup. And I eat it in the summer. So soup is my favorite food. I live in Texas, from Texas, born and raised. So Mexican food, genuine, true Mexican food, is just it's just part of my life. Like we've always had it, not Tex-Mex, like a real Mexican food. My
Mhm.
husband and I go to Mexico 2 or 3 times a year, and we love the food. So that's kind of where the heartstrings were with the recipe. But the recipe's just really good. It uses a homemade taco seasoning that's super easy to make, by the way. And you put it in a crock pot and walk away, and then you let the crock pot cook all
Lovely.
day. Oh, and
Yeah.
it's just, and then you go back, shred the chicken, and so it's my favorite. And everybody that tries it, so inside my community, a lot of people have the cookbook, and they're they'll post the picture of the book of the soup, and they're like, "Y'all have got to try this soup. It's just really good." Yep.
Did you always love cooking, or was this something that life forced you into and then you have fallen in love with it?
I've been a mom my whole life. I was 17 when I had Sterling. He's 40 now. I'm sorry, he's 30 now. And he's about to be 31. Wow, time flies. So I've had to cook my whole life because I had to keep two humans alive at a very young age. So I was forced to cook. But I was, I was raised around a mother from the South who cooks. So I've always enjoyed it. However, I didn't realize that I wasn't really cooking. I was putting together processed ingredients and calling it a meal because we were surviving, right?
Right.
We struggled. And, lots of cans, lots of frozen things, lots of processed macaroni and cheese and hamburger helper. But I cooked, I was in the kitchen. So I've always enjoyed cooking, but I really enjoy cooking now because I'm cooking from scratch without it taking a lot of time. And it's like now it's my therapy. It's like an artist with a canvas. I get in the kitchen and it's my happy place. Now there's times when I shut it down and say I'm never cooking again because I'm so exhausted, but then 3 days later I'm like, oh yeah, I miss it. So it's
Yeah.
where my heartstrings are. And I've always cooked, but I didn't enjoy it when I was younger. I did it out of obligation.
Yeah, I'm starting to get into it, and I do find it's therapeutic, and it's kind of like almost like solving a math problem too, or there's logic, there's following things, and I enjoy working it out because I'm not naturally good at it. And I, from time to time, will live with my grandparents and make sure that they're okay, and I'll cook for them. And I don't like cooking. I won't cook at their house anymore because they always have to have an opinion. They always are questioning why I'm doing certain things. I'm like, you need to leave the kitchen. This is my space to work things out. This is my therapy right now. So you said that your mom cooks, and this will be my last big question, because I don't want to take up too much more of your time before I go into, I have a quick rapid fire at the end of every episode.
Okay.
So my last big question for you is, you said that your mom cooks. Is there any recipe that she made that you loved that you have adapted into this anti-inflammatory, gluten-free, dairy-free existence that you now live in?
That is my happy place for all recipes. So I don't always create, well, sometimes all the recipes in my cookbook are mine from scratch, all the
Mhm.
things. But whenever it's like a weekday and I'm kind of burnt out on my stuff, which happens a lot, my husband jokes because he says we never eat the same thing twice, but we do. He just forgets. And my favorite thing to do is go on Pinterest and, like, let's say I'm craving the one example I can think of about my mother is she used to make it's basically beef stroganoff, but in Texas they called it stay in bed stew. I don't know why. She made it all the time, but it had, egg noodles and sour cream and, just all the things that beef tips and, just all the things that weren't great. So, what I like to do with that recipe and what I do now is I get on Pinterest. If I'm craving, let's say I'm craving whatever, beef stroganoff, I go on and I look at a traditional recipe that what pops up in my Pinterest. And then I immediately just change out. I know now in my head what I need to do. Like anytime there's a cream sauce, I know what to do. Anytime there's beef, I'll use, if I can, I'll use chicken. Not, I'm not anti-beef. We just don't eat it a lot. It takes 4 days for my body to process beef, and no food should be sitting in your body for 4 days. And don't ask me how I know that. So I would say, in answer to your question, the beef stroganoff is what I made healthy, and I substitute it for chicken, and then I do all kinds of fun substitutions to make it creamy and delicious without using dairy or gluten.
That's amazing. I know that my grandparents I made a gluten-free version of beef stroganoff for them too. And I didn't do it with the noodles. I had bread instead
Yeah.
and found a recipe, and they were like, no, no, that's not how mom made it. Mom made it with noodles.
I'm going to assume that your grandparents are baby boomers. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is usually my audience. I attract baby boomers for some reason, and they're my biggest challenge. And let me tell you why. You probably already know this, but they were raised in the era where processed food was brand new. They
Mhm.
were raised in the era where prescription drugs were fairly new and on the major rise economically. They were raised in the era where smoking was good for pregnant women. They were raised when the medical industry really was finding, curing, well, coming up with chemo. They were doing all the things. And so I feel so sorry for the baby boomers from a health perspective, because I am not defending them, but so much of it is not their fault,
Yeah.
because they have been raised, they were in the, my parents are 71. So for example, they were raised in the 50s and 60s, and oh my gosh, SpaghettiOs were brand new and diet soda was coming out in the 70s. And like they just didn't, health was just not on the radar. So to get them now at the age that they are to make a change is very difficult.
And
So
conversely, there's going to be things that when we're in our 70s and 80s that,
100%.
yeah, that people are going to be like, what were they thinking? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
You're
it's,
exactly right. Yep.
yeah,
So we just have to be patient with them and love them and meet them where they are
yeah.
and lead by example.
I loved this conversation and I can't wait to get your book, What's on Your Fork. And people can find it on Amazon. So, and I'll make sure to have a link to purchase it in the description of the podcast. But before I let you go, I have three just simple rapid fire questions. My first question is, what is your favorite food city?
Oh my goodness. I haven't traveled abroad yet, so um I've gone north and south and around this country. San Francisco.
Ooh, okay. I'll have to try it, San Francisco.
Hmm.
What do you prefer when you're planning a vacation, that you are relaxing or that you're active?
A combination of both. So if it's a 7-day vacation, we are 2 or 3 days doing nothing, 2 or 3 days doing something great.
That's awesome. That's a good balance. With and then the final question, what is the city that you learned the most about yourself?
Juno Beach, Florida.
Okay. It's a different one. I like that.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, Shelley, it was so nice meeting you. And again, I'm going to say it again to get your book, What's on Your Fork. And I'll have to meet you in person so you could sign the book when I get it. And I'll send you photos of me trying out all the recipes. But it was so lovely meeting you. Is there anything else that you would like to direct our listeners to for your community to be part of it? Any?
Yeah, so if they want to learn more about me, the best way is just go to my website and or social media. Everything is Shelley Can Help. So shelleycanhelp.com, and every social media platform is Shelley Can Help, but my name is Shelley Can Help. And it's everywhere online. If you just Google that, they can find all the things.
Perfect. Love that.
Thank
Alrighty.
you,
Well, thank you so
Ashley.
much, Shelley. And
Thank you.
till next time with everybody else.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me this week in my conversation with Shelley. I hope it was super helpful and you get her book, What's on Your Fork. The link to the book is in the description for the podcast. So excited to hear what recipes you were able to cook that were inspired by Shelley's cookbook. And I'm going to try it myself and I'll be sure to let everybody know how it goes. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Thank you for joining me this week for all the fun journeys and lessons learned on my big adventure called life. For more information on the different cities discussed, check out the blog posts on hieatexplorelove.com, posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Until next week, remember to eat well, explore the world, and love yourself. See you next time. This episode is produced, scripted, and edited by me, Ashley. Special thanks to Sarah Mientka.